All right, welcome everybody to Studio Oracles. John here, and I'm sitting on the beach in Maui again. Beautiful morning. It's just the mornings are just the best. I just love them. And oftentimes downloads and revelations come in the morning because you've had a chance to really rest, and then you wake up. If you don't wake up in patterns, if you don't wake up thinking about everything of yesteryear, everything of yesterday and the day before and the years ago, then we'll wake up in this newness. There's an ancient proverb that says, "Mercies are new every morning." And I just this oracle, this message is for someone that your name's Dan, and you're leaning over this acoustic guitar, and it's pretty weathered, it's worn, and I feel like you're in Nashville, or you're in the country scene, or in that world. You have a baseball cap on, and you have these tattered jeans, and you have these boots on, and a t-shirt, and you're leaning over this weathered guitar again, and it's tan color, and you have both arms crossed, and you're leaning over it, just really not only pondering, but you are feeling discouraged and hopeless. And I just saw where you've been down many roads. You've been down many twists and turns, and you're just, for your age, it's not like you're even middle-aged yet. And for your age, you've done a lot. You've matured. You've had to mature pretty quickly in life. And I feel like this is a real turning point for you. You can either set it down and never pick it up again, meaning the guitar, your music, your producing, your directing, all of that, because you have your hands in several things, and they're all really areas that you're good at, but you just haven't had the break that you were thinking that you were going to get at this time in your life. Oftentimes we think that because it doesn't happen according to our time frame or a certain age, because the world around us is screaming it has to happen in your 20s or your teens or whatever, that's just not reality for the spirit realm side of things. And I'll explain that a little more for your life. And by the way, this message is for more than one person named Dan. Grab what's yours. Lay a hold of what's yours in this, because we are a collective consciousness. We are one in spirit. We are one in consciousness. And oftentimes when these oracles come through, they are for more than one person. So if you're leaning over the guitar and your name is Susan, if you've ever leaned over a guitar, this is for all those that have ever leaned over a guitar with a breath out of their lungs wanting to give up. This is for you. But for Dan's sake, oftentimes we want things to happen in a certain time frame, and not realizing that we are in fact multi-dimensional beings having multi-lifetime experiences in this eternal now. And if you just think it's all about a linear body that's just having this one experience and this one 80 years of life, 90 years of life, 100 years if you're living healthily, then that's not doing the bigness of who you are any justice. See, we're way bigger than a certain time frame, and certain elements are coming into place for your life, Dan, and others listening to this, that are absolutely necessary for the ingredients put into the recipe for who you are and who you are actually becoming, so that not only you can sustain the weight of the goodness that's coming for your life, but also it's more than about just what we're engaged in and what we're doing. We know that, you know that, because you have a big heart of compassion. In fact, you're an empath in a lot of ways, and so you've been trampled on by the narcissist in life, or just narcissistic seasons that try to dominate and rule and control our lives. And then we find ourselves as empaths, especially in the arts and entertainment industry. Anybody that's a musician, most musicians are empaths. Most actors and producers and people that are involved in film are empathetic. And then what happens is that the unfolding and the situations that we find ourselves in can be this narcissistic type of dominance that can literally take the wind out of us, that makes us want to give up. And here's the remedy. Here's the disillusion, because you don't need a solution right now. You need a dissolving of the conditioning and the mindset that says it's always going to be this way. It'll never happen for me. I might as well just give up. Mom was right, or dad was right. I can't make any money doing this. Those are all illusionary stances from the egoic side of things, because the ego really, when it tries to speak to our life, is an illusion. The reality is that you are an enormous gift to this world, and it doesn't have to come in one form and one time frame the way you think it or thought it should be, according to everybody else's time frame, according to everybody else's thought processes. So Dan, just know this, just like this message is coming to you from God, from love, from compassion, just know that you're being held right now, and it's the egoic side of things that wants to give up. I often say this, and I'll say this to you because you've had a couple of suicidal thoughts, although you can never bring yourself to do it. Who is actually wanting to harm themselves? Who is the one saying it? It's not the I am of who you are. It's not the bigness, the spirit of who you are that's saying that. It's not the genuine real you that's saying that. It's the illusionary ego that wants to go and kill itself, that wants to take itself out of the journey. And once you separate those two and realize that that is just an illusionary mindset, or words coming to your mind, the voices in your head through conditioning, once you understand that, then you'll say, oh, okay, hold on a minute. Who's saying that? Anytime that comes up. And let me separate the two, because the bigness of who I am is made of love. It's made of unconditional love. It's made of compassion and grace and mercy and service and all those good, wonderful things, acts of kindness, all those good things that we really want to do for one another through your gift, through your music, and other things that you do, and other things that you are. That is the reality of the makeup of who you are. And I assure you that that part of your life is just unfolding as it gains and gleans the expansion and the maturing it is drawing from right now inside, so that you can not only enjoy the journey a little bit more while you're going through hard challenges by saying, look, I'm gonna settle right now that the universe and God is working for me, not against me. And there's an ancient text that says, God is for me, who can be against me? In other words, if love is for me, nothing can stand in the way of 100% pure unconditional love. And that's what your spirit is made of. That's who you are. That's the real you. And then collectively, we are all one consciousness. We're just having a separate experience here called a persona. And that persona determines whether or not, depending on how much we're going to enjoy it, in other words, enjoy life, depends on how much of the conditioning we're going to allow to rule our lives. And so, saying straight to you, I can just see you picking yourself up off the guitar now, and you're starting to see this. You've had flashes of this, and you've known this in your heart, because everything that's being spoken right now is truth to your heart, truth to your spirit. And so you're starting to illuminate now and awaken in this area and say, wow, you know what? There's truth to that. And I need to see it for what it is and separate the two, the ego and the spirit of who I am, the realness, the genuineness, the bigness of who my heart-centered being is. And so what's interesting is that things start to synchronize when we become self-aware and see it for what it is. And for you, Dan, watch what happens over the next 24 weeks, 18 to 24 weeks. You're going to see some real shifts and transformation and change, not only within yourself, but you're going to start to see synchronistic events where things will begin to overtake you, opportunities, doors open, synchronized divine appointments, people coming up and asking you questions and inquiring of who you are. See, it's when we relax in the gift, when we learn to relax in the gift and do it purely from a playful joy that comes from being childlike, an innocence in that, innocent quality in that, just enjoying the journey in our gifts, talents, and abilities. This is when it sends out the heart-mind coherence that brings in the real, true law of attraction through magnetism that begins to bring it into our lives. And man, when that happens, wow, we start seeing unfolding synchronistic events that go, man, I did not work to make that happen. Exactly. We are in a consciousness now, Dan, and others listening to this in the arts and entertainment industry. We are in a consciousness now where things are wanting to work for us. They already are, but are we self-aware enough, and are we relaxed enough? Are we surrendered enough? Are we heart-centered enough? Okay, with no condemnation, no judgment towards ourselves or others. Are we relaxed in that, synced into that, SYNC, synced into it enough to actually cause these things to start popping and moving and coming towards us, around us? I gave this analogy before, Dan, and others listening, about a snow globe. You know, the little toys, little snow globes where you shake it and the snow comes up around the little figure inside of the globe. And it's only when it's shaken do we see the snow rise and it starts to surround and fall. Well, that's enjoyable to watch. But it's only enjoyable if we understand what the shaking means. The shaking activates the joy of the snow coming around us. In other words, the provision that comes around us, it's the shaking to get us to wake up, because you're, in a sense, waking up that snow globe to do its thing. And so sometimes shaking happens in our life to wake us up so that we can become self-aware enough and see it for what it is. And then we'll go, oh, look at all these things surrounding my life. Now, there's one extra layer to this. When we really relax and surrender into the moment, whether it's challenging or adverse or not, when we relax into that moment, then we break the glass ceiling. Through the heart, the brain, heart coherence, it starts to pulsate a magnetism that goes out so strong that it begins to break that glass ceiling, and then everything that's been waiting on the outside, all the good things, all of the things that we've been seeing as a heart's desire, things that are really good for us, not what we were seeing through the patterns and the conditioning. A lot of those things are just materialistic anyway. But we start seeing the greater things that are good for us, like the patience and the peace and the kindness and the integrity and the all of those really good things that we tend to avoid because we want things when we want them now. They begin to break through that glass ceiling, and then you get it all. You not only get the benefits of the snow swirling around, meaning the things that are good for you that you desire and want, like maybe you're believing for a home, maybe you're believing for a better a growth to your business or your craft, right? And then all of the elements that come around us that serve us well for longevity and that bring joy to ourselves and others and cause us to love ourselves and others around us, they begin to break through, and then you have it all. So just remember that, Dan, that the more we surrender into the moment, into the now, the more we become present, then we start to see what this means and what it has meant and why you haven't had the open doors that you were expecting. See, expectation oftentimes comes from a pattern of conditioning that we have been programmed by, that believes it has to come a certain way in a certain time by a certain person or a certain company or a certain breakthrough in Nashville. You know, here's another thing. As oftentimes you see people that are in patterns, not all, because it's just, you know, the natural way of things for a musician, especially country artists, to go to Nashville. So you hear about it on the shows called The Voice and, you know, American Idol and things where they go, oh, I moved to Nashville, moved to Nashville, moved to Nashville. And then they don't have all these breaks. And then you hear somebody stand up that knows who they are and they're more relaxed into the now. They understand that letting go actually brings things in. Force and hard work do not get us anything our spirit, the real us, wants. It only does that for the ego. And then it's always hard work, sweat, and toil the rest of your life. When they understand it, they go, well, where are you from? You know, one of the TV hosts, the judges says, hey, where are you from? And they go, well, I'm from a little town called Dayton, Mississippi, or a little town called Hayden, Idaho. And then they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, and then they go, instead of saying, well, there's not many opportunities, I'm thinking about picking up and moving to Nashville, They're just like, hey, I'm just enjoying life right there, just playing some honky tonks, or I'm just playing this venue or that venue, and I'm just happy to be here. I'm just excited to have this opportunity. And then what happens? They open their mouth, they wail, and boom, they wind up winning the show, right? And those are things that do happen, okay? But more importantly, synchronicity happens when we settle in and we release and we allow, when we surrender in the moment and we begin to enjoy life and be playful, even as much as difficult and as challenging it is. They say, that's easy for you, John, to say that. Hey, listen, it's the only thing that saves the day. Play saves the day. You want things to break through and start happening, go play. Like put the guitar down if it's so grueling and it's causing resentment to come up into you right now, even though that's your gift. Put it down for a while. Go swim in an ice cold river. Summertime. Go to the beach. Go to the mountains. Go out in nature. Go have fun. Go bowling. Go whatever. Just go have fun and watch what happens. And then you'll see, ooh, that thing that I was worried about is taking care of itself. What happened there? I'll tell you what happened there is you released resistance. Release resistance. When we release resistance, then the shield comes down. Remember the glass ceiling over the snow globe? It begins to crumble and dissipate, and then things begin to overtake your life, our lives. It's just how it works. Because think about this at a higher level. If love is unconditional, which I believe that's what God is, who God is. God is love, unconditional love. Then it's in love's nature to want to give without condition, to give without getting first, to give without this manipulative thing that says I'm scratching your back, now scratch mine. You need to give me something before I give you something back. No, unconditional love does not think that way. Unconditional love just wants to give without somebody doing anything at all in return. It's always giving. You ever notice the sun is always giving? The sky is always giving us its blue color. The ocean is always giving us its waves. Most of the time, right? The sand is always giving us its warmth. The clouds are always, floating by, doing their thing. Give, give, give without demanding something in return. Otherwise, that would be conditional love, and that would be dictatorship. You wouldn't have free will in that. So anyway, I hope this has helped you, Dan, through this oracle. I hope this has helped you through the Christ consciousness, the presence of love in your life, and surrendering and relaxing and sinking into the present moment and allowing the disappointments to dissipate. It's more about dissolving than solving. Let it dissolve as you let go and play. Let it dissolve, and then it will be solved. All right. Till next time, thank you for tuning in to Studio Oracles. John here saying ahui o and aloha from Hawaii.